everybody, and welcome to Lattes on My Mind.
I'm Hannah.
And I'm Felina. What are we talking about today, girl?
Well, we're doing a Ristretto Ramble too. So I've got 3 topics, and hang on, I'll tell you them when we get into it.
Alrighty, so grab those lattes and join us for the journey. So, Ristretto Ramble.
Yeah, just a reminder.
What it is, it's a bunch of little topics that we really wanted to share with you, but we felt like we couldn't make a full episode out of them. So we combine them all into one.
Right.
And you get more for your episode.
Right. Bigger bang for your buck.
Bigger bang for your buck. You get three stories in one.
Here's the thing. I think that 2 of these topics, like, you could stretch into a whole episode because Hannah does that, but I cut them down so they're so if you want to know more about them,
then let us know, because we could totally revisit them.
Or research it on your own and figure out more about them, but I just wanted to like introduce the topics to you.
Yeah.
But I also try to condense them like to the important fun facts.
Yes.
So, but you know me, I always have background. But
yes, she does.
Before we get started,
Hannah, you took a tumble.
I've taken 2 tumbles.
You took a couple. A couple tumbles.
I took a couple tumbles. One was at work.
Yes.
You explained this one because you saw it.
One was at work. Now listen, we got hit with an ice storm, okay?
Oh,
and
my
I mean
gosh.
ice storm. I mean, it was ice. And
Pure ice.
We had moved. We work at a news station, and our tower, the like cords that like hold up the tower or like stabilize the tower, or however it works.
Yeah.
Once it starts to melt, it just drops ice down. So
you
have
can hear
to be
it in the
careful.
building too.
Yeah, it like drops onto our
you're
roof.
like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So you have to park farther away, and our van had gotten moved.
Yeah.
And so we were walking a different way than we normally walk through the ice where the path was. And so we're trucking along.
And I had the backpack like with the camera
She had the
it.
backpack with the camera on it. And she was in front of me. And then there was someone out feeding the cats. We've talked about the cats before, our station cats. Someone was going out to feed the cats. And Hannah looked up to wave at them and say hi.
Hey.
And then she just eats it.
Yeah.
She is on the floor before I know it. And we're like, oh my gosh. She slipped on a little patch of ice that was right by the van that we normally wouldn't be walking over.
Oh, right, because it would usually be there.
Yeah, but it was.
And the funny thing is, I was like gonna tell her like, watch out for the falling ice or something. You know, like the falling ice. Like I was gonna be like, you gotta run.
Yeah.
And then
she just took a tumble.
The camera was okay.
The camera was fine. It's in a protected backpack.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I was worried about the camera. I was like, oh my gosh, the camera.
It was okay. It was completely fine. Her ego was a little bruised.
My ego was because someone else saw it, not just Felina.
Yeah.
And then last night, my knee hurts. This is why I'm mentioning it, because like my knee is like actively hurting.
She was like rubbing her knee. I was like, what happened? She goes, I took a fall. I took a tumble. I said, another one?
And then I was like, oh shoot, I forgot that I have fallen twice since the last,
like the last week.
Yeah, literally. So like usually I had like moved my shower mat, because you have a mat for when all the water gets everywhere.
Yeah.
And I had moved it because it got dirty. So we were like washing it. And sometimes, usually we would like put a towel down, but I was like, oh, this towel needs changed out because, it takes us forever to wash our rugs.
Laundry is hard. There's no judgment.
I know. We both have this struggle.
Laundry is so rough.
I'll keep it going, but putting it away,
it's no go.
No. And I especially don't wash I keep like the cleaning rags and like rugs like in a separate thing. So I usually wait till I have enough. So they usually like if they're dirty, they kind of hang about for a little while.
Yeah.
So I was just like, not realizing I had spilled so much water on the floor. So I was walking back into the bedroom and I just the thing about this fall is like I completely like my feet went out from under me and I went straight down to my chest. Like I was like, oh my gosh. And then my dogs like ran up to me and they were like,
are you dead?
Yeah.
Are you alive? Are you okay? What's going on?
Sky was like kissing my face. Like she was like, Mom, are you okay? And like, and then man, that I hit my knee and I was like, did I break my knee? That's what I was thinking. Like something's gonna be wrong with my knee because like I'm reaching the age, y'all.
her bones are frail.
Yeah, my bones would be frail at 30. But but seriously, your body starts to decline like later 20. Like it It's not long. You just whoop. So I'm like, if I hit my knee, like when you were a kid, how many times did you fall and like not be hurt at all?
Oh yeah.
But now I'm like, my
when
knee.
When you're like little, your bones are not like completely formed yet. So,
but even when I was like 12 or like in my later teenage years, like I would do all these like little,
you'd be fine, not even a bruise,
right? Like I would jump through like onto something like for a film, like our home films, and like not be hurt. And I'm like, now I'm like, oh my god. Yeah. So I fall on my knee and I'm like,
ow, that hurt.
I think this is broken
the wrong way and I sprained my ankle. Like
right? Yeah, it's like, let me tell you.
It was rough. She had 2 tumbles. So keep Hannah in your prayers.
Just an encouragement for the new year. If you're already feeling like you're failing,
at least you haven't fallen twice.
Yeah, we hope. I hope.
If you have, well,
yeah,
we'll be praying for you.
I'm very clumsy. I'm
also prone to falling, which is why I was walking so slowly.
Right.
But you were like walking quicker.
I thought I was walking slow, and I specifically told myself in my mind, don't step in that spot. Because where the cars were, there was like, usually ice.
Well, because you know how like there's the ice with like the snow on top where it's like packed down. And then there's the ice where like you can't even see it. That's what she slipped on. Whee! It's like so much slicker than the other ice.
I've been so careful now. Every time I take my dogs out, I'm like, they're going to pull me down because like they don't realize that the ice is there. And I'm like, stop. Like, and they're pulling and I'm like,
oh yeah.
I'm about to sled down this hill,
It's rough out there on those streets.
Yeah. You know what else was rough out on the streets?
What?
Olga of Kiev.
Of Kiev.
Okay, so my first topic, because as you guys know, as we told you, I have 3, and I'll try not to. Some of them have a little background. I really tried not to do too much, but you know me. But I have the first one's gonna be Olga of Kiev, and then I have a second topic called Dancing Plague of 1518.
Oh,
which is fun.
I want to know about the dancing plague.
I know, and then I have a female gang that I'm gonna talk about.
Girl power.
Yes, exactly.
Was it called the Powerpuff Girls?
I wish. No, it was called the 40 Elephants.
Gross. Be a little more creative, ladies.
I think it's fun.
Come on,
40
now.
Elephants? Powerpuff Girls.
Were they over 40?
No.
Or was there 40 of them?
There must have been. They never said why it was called 40.
Gotcha.
Because it was originally, well, never mind. I'll get into it later.
We'll get into it later.
That's my last topic. Okay, but it was rough out on the streets in the 800s. Okay, we're going back.
800s?
We're going back. So
not even 1800s. It's the 800s of it all.
The 800s.
Wow.
So, because we're going back to like Viking ages, okay? Now. Period. I still need to do a Viking one, but
yeah, Vikings would be fun.
But anyway, this group is called the Viking. I'm already gonna say it wrong. Varangians.
Vermilion.
The Vermilions. Okay, they're a Scandinavian people.
Okay,
as many Vikings are, and they took over the Slavs area. So like not Russia at the time. It wasn't Russia, but it was like a combination of Russia, Belarus, and Ukraine, like parts of like spread out. So
just like the last episode.
Yeah, just
look
like
at that.
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl.
We say it wrong all the time.
I know. I keep saying Chernobyl. I'm like, that ain't right.
Yeah,
that just is not the correct.
It's not correct. Yeah, but because it looks like it could be share as well. But
like Cher.
Yeah, like the singer,
the infamous Cher,
the infamous
noble. She's noble,
and she is noble.
Anyway.
But we're way back further than.
Yeah, this is like medieval.
Right. Before medieval almost even.
This is like 13-year-old getting married age.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah.
But that's where we are right now.
Yes.
But so the Viking Varangians, as they were called, came into the Slavs area, which was like, that area. And they took it over and they named it the Kievan Rus state. Rus? R-U-S. One of those.
Kievan, these names, props to you. I excluded names because
did.
I was like, I know I will not. I will struggle.
I'm fascinated by names.
Yeah, I just come up with different names for the names.
I think I would have liked to be a linguist if I had chosen. Well, I always say that. I always say something different. I would like to have been this.
You still can be.
This is true.
You can be more than one thing.
Yeah, I guess. But Olga is our girl.
Olga.
And yes, Olga. Yes, Olga. And she was born, I guess, in what is today northwestern Russia-ish, with the Varangian line, the Viking Raiders, as they were called. And we don't know when she was born. I always choose those people.
Yeah, you always choose the difficult ones.
Yeah, I'm like, they were born at some time. 890 to 925, they estimate.
That's a big jump.
It is. It's like 35 years. She's like, she was born.
She's somewhere in here.
We don't know when. But now, the Slavs, that they came and conquered, there was a group called the Drevlians.
The dragons.
The dragons. So these people were taken over by the new Kevin people, we'll call them. Kevin peoples.
So the dragons were taken over by Kevin.
Right. I want to write a story about Kevin and the dragon. But anyways, for a while they're like, okay, they agreed to like work for the new prince, essentially. Okay. The guy who took over. They're like, okay, well, we'll fight for you, blah, blah, blah. But by the time that he died and this new guy took over, Igor is his name. Igor.
So Eeyore.
Eeyore.
Okay.
They don't like him, so they're like, we're not gonna pay tribute to this guy.
Okay, so wait. The dragons or the Kevins?
The dragons.
The dragons don't like Eeyore.
Yes. So the dragons, or Drevlians, as they're actually called, were the Slav group that was taken over by the Varangians.
The Kevins.
Yes, but who became like part of Kiev. So they were called Kevin.
Kevin.
It's
like you're saying Kevin in a Minnesotan accent.
It really is. Kevin, come here. Come on over.
Kevin, stop doing that.
Come on over and drink
Kevin,
some beer.
stop playing with your dragons.
I don't think I'm saying it right.
Time for dinner, Kevin.
It must be Kiev. No, it is Kiev. So so it's called the Kievan Rust State is what it's called. And I guess they're called Kievans.
They're Kievans.
Kievans, come have some beer.
Kievans, you stop doing that. You rascal.
I'm so sorry. We have not gotten anywhere in this topic. How come this is always the case with my topic? We get so distracted by the names. Maybe I should exclude that.
Because I distract you.
I know, it's funny though. I can't help it. But anyway, so dragons taken over by Kevins.
Okay.
Remember that.
And the dragons don't like Eeyore.
Yeah.
Which is the Kevin's new.
Yeah. Now,
new person.
It was Kevin's new person. So, Olga is married to Eeyore or Igor.
Olga.
So enter Olga. Okay. Now, the people who ruled over the dragons obviously expected tribute. You got to pay me. You got to get taxes.
The Kevins are greedy.
The Kevins are greedy.
Okay.
Obviously. So they enact a tribute. You have to pay us. We're ruling over you. And they called it a Polyadi. It's a Kevin tribute. That's like what it was called that they enforced. Okay. Igor obviously decides to wage war against them because he wants his money. In 945, okay, in hopes of regaining their tribute because they stopped paying.
Wage war over the dragons.
Okay. Because they stopped paying the tribute after the first prince because they're like, we don't like the new people.
We don't like you, Eeyore. Get out of here. Yeah. And he's like, woe's me.
No.
For noticing me.
Igor isn't that great.
Igor. Olga, what you doing, girl?
Right. Why'd you marry him?
What you doing? You can do better than Eeyore.
You would think. But apparently she liked him.
Oh, gross.
Because we'll talk about.
I might not be Team Olga anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. You tell me when we get there.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So finally they agreed. After he kind of was like, look at all this army I have. He had a big army.
I'm coming for you.
Right. So they're like, fine, we'll pay the tribute again. So Igor leaves. Okay. Because he goes to their land, tells them they had to pay.
They say, all right, if you insist.
We're tired of fighting with you. Yeah. But then Igor is traveling back home to Olga, and he thinks, I didn't get enough tribute. I could do better.
Don't be greedy.
He's very arrogant, very greedy. So he turns around, but he only takes a small force with him this time. He's like, okay, you guys come with me. We're going to go back. We're going to get more out of them. I think I can get more out of them. Okay. So when he comes back.
Kevin, come get your man.
Kevin,
get your boy over here.
Kevin, this is ridiculous. Olga's back home waiting, and you're going to go back and get them.
And you're just going to go back? What even? Oh, dear.
So he goes back to the dragons, and he's like, I want more money. And they get really mad. They're like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
So they take the man. They're like, okay, fine. Because he only has a small group this time. So they're like, oh, where'd your whole army go?
We got you.
They take him. They take 2 trees.
Oh, gosh.
They bring them down, bend them down.
How do you bend a tree?
So it's like a birch tree. So I think it's like a kind of like, it's a smaller,
so it's
like.
Yeah, I was thinking like a big, like.
No.
Big, huge.
Like those bendable. So they take 2 trees, they bend them down, they secure his legs. One to one tree, one to the other. And then they let the trees go. And so they rip his body in half.
Iconic. What? I mean, period.
Now listen, they agreed, and then he comes back and adds insult to
he's
injury.
like, no, I want more. And they said,
Right.
we'll rip you in half then.
We'll
and
rip you in
get
half.
None.
The dragon said, oh, Kevin.
The dragon said, I will burn you.
Right. So that happens.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Honestly, creative.
Right.
Innovative.
Everybody's so creative.
Everybody's so creative.
Killing methods in the 800s. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
impressive.
Now,
okay.
yeah. So obviously back home, little Olga and Igor's son, only 3.
Oh,
So
he's a dad.
maybe
The
he is a
baby.
dad.
Better off.
yeah,
I feel
without that dad,
without
maybe.
Eeyore.
So he's obviously can't take over. So Olga says,
I got you, fam.
yeah. So she becomes the grand princess.
She says, in the club, we all fam.
Right. So she becomes the grand princess and is like regent
Yes.
for him until he gets of age.
Yes.
So she's in power for 15 years because he's obviously
Beautiful.
3. So like
Period.
probably
Yeah.
until he gets now. Olga is obviously upset that her husband has been killed in this manner.
Yeah.
Granted.
Naturally, because now she has to rule. But I
Right.
mean, now you get to
Well,
rule.
but also because it's her husband. So I guess she's attached to him.
Sister, you could do better.
She could. So the dragons or Drevlians, I'll remind you of the real name just in case you need to look them up.
Sorry.
No, it's funny. I like to call them the dragons. So they proposed to Olga, we want you to marry our prince, Prince Mal. Mal is his name. That's pretty easy to say.
Maladaptive.
Maladaptive. So they're like, we want you to marry our prince.
He's a no-no. I can tell by your face. He's a no-no.
No, but just like they killed him and then he's like, we want you to marry our guy. So they're like,
Yeah, we'll
trying
pay tribute to you. Well, like, because she still needs them to pay, right?
Well, yeah, but they're trying to say, so they did a power move. They killed their prince. And then so they're like, in order to prevent further conflict and to like build this, like,
It's like a peace offering. Here, marry
join
our
the kingdoms.
prince.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
marry our prince. Let's not fight. Let's
But
not
then
pay.
the prince would rule.
Yeah, Prince Mal would rule. So it would be like a combined group.
Ugh, gross.
So Olga's like, okay, seemingly. She's like,
Right.
sure, I'll marry Prince Mal. And they also like, I mean, the dragons don't want to be ruled by them. So they're like trying
Right.
to like make it.
Put their guy in
Let's
there.
join.
Yeah.
Let's join forces. So she's like, okay. So like ambassadors from him come and visit her, propose this, whatever. And she's like, you know what? Sure. But go back to your boats because they came in boats.
Naturally.
And tomorrow I'll come meet you and I'll like carry you through town. What I want you to say is when my men arrive and when I arrive, we want you to say, I don't know why people instructed people to say things back then. I don't know if it was like a secret code, like we're still good.
Yeah.
Which is weird because she was like talking to them and she's like, go back and then say this to me. And she said she wanted them to say, we will not ride on horses nor go on foot. Carry us in our boat. So she was like, I'm going to carry you through town in your boats. Like I'm giving you like an honor. Like you're being like paraded through the streets. Like, hey everyone, look, like we're going to.
What's she playing at here?
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's like she's making it seem like I'm going to take you in front of my people, give you honor, carry you. We're going to become a people, blah, 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 blah. And
I'll buy it.
yeah.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
the next day they go down to the river. They're like, hey guys. And then they say the little thing. So they like her people, Olga's people, pick up the boat and carry the ambassadors like over their heads. Like, woo, look at them. Carry them through. Take them to a trench that they had dug the night before. Throw them in, boat and all, and bury them alive. Step 1.
Period.
Step 1 of Olga's revenge.
Not as iconic, though.
No.
Okay.
But just
it's
wait.
only step 1, so she's got to
Only
ease
step 1.
into it.
Yes, I mean, she just buried them alive in their boat. Like, that's
Yeah.
not as cool as ripping them apart.
That's not as cool as ripping them apart.
With a tree.
Ripping them in half with trees.
So, and as they were being buried, though, she did say to them, if they found the honor to their taste, do you find this honor to your taste? That's what she said to them.
Yeah. Is this satisfactory way to die for you?
Yeah, like, is this a good enough honor for you?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So,
aggressive.
she doesn't stop.
Okay.
She dispatches another request to Mal saying, you know, the guys you sent me this first time, they're not very high ranking officials or whatever, you know, like they're just like lower whatever status.
Yeah.
Send me higher ranking officials to escort me to you. Okay.
Gotcha.
And obviously
I need more protection.
Right. And obviously he doesn't know that
they've killed them.
That they've killed them. Yeah. Because, you know, word travels slow.
Throw them in the trenches.
Yeah. So these higher ranking guys come to escort her. Okay. And they're like, hey, everyone, when they arrive, they're like, hey, we prepared these baths for you. You've been traveling. Go bathe and then we'll like meet. So like, you know, you've been traveling, you're weary.
They poison the baths.
No, they just
just hold them down to drown them.
Right, exactly. Yeah. they put them in the bathhouse.
Okay.
And then they light the bathhouse on fire.
Cute.
And they burn the exits first. So like the doors, like they're like light that on fire first so they can't get out. So all those.
There's bath water.
I know. Well, but if you burn it down, it's gonna eventually, I guess, just kill you. I don't know. Yeah.
No, like they could
just stay in the bath water.
No, they could like jump in the bath water.
Yeah.
And like.
Yeah.
Chill there, or they could jump in the bath water and then run out the exit. And
maybe the bathrooms were in the 800s, really just like a pitcher.
Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of baths they had then.
It is the 800s.
Yeah, so probably not like as big of a bath even too. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds to me like they were just stupid.
Yeah, they were stupid. They got burned alive. Okay.
Yeah.
In their house. Step number 2.
Okay, step 3.
Now, step 3. Yes, she tells Mal, "All right, I'm gonna travel there. I'm ready. Here I come.
I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna come marry you. But first," she says, "prepare mead." Alcohol.
Yes.
It's like, an alcohol made out of like honey
Correct.
and stuff,
she
all
said,
that.
I'll marry you, but I gotta be drunk.
But you gotta give me alcohol. Well, she says, we have to have a funeral feast for my husband first so I can finish mourning for him before I marry you. So she's like, I'm coming to the city that you killed my husband.
Yeah.
So I want to hold this funeral feast or whatever they do.
There.
Yeah, while we're there. So make lots of alcohol. I'm coming, blah, 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 blah. So they do that. He's kind of like, at this point, I think he was kind of like, where are all my men?
Yeah.
Where are they? But they were supposed to be escorting her. So maybe the second batch, she was just like, well, they're with her.
Well, yeah. Maybe she's just wanted to write directly to me.
But when she shows up without them.
Yeah, that would
wonder
be
what
my,
he thinks.
like,
yeah,
like why...
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, where are my men that I sent?
where are the high-ranking officials that I sent? Oh, I shot them. No, I burned them alive
in their bathtubs.
Yes.
How did they? No, just kidding.
She probably was like, oh, well, there was a fire. It was a tragic accident.
Probably.
Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, they stayed behind. It's like, what?
They actually all got married.
Right. They found
they found wives.
They liked the Kevins.
Yeah. They said, Kevin.
Kevin. Come over here, let me marry you.
Yeah.
Man, we're like, I don't know what just happened.
We're on one today.
We are. So after they have like the funeral or whatever it is, and then they're also celebrating with the mead and stuff because it's also like, oh, you're about to get married as well.
It's like funeral, let me mourn my husband / celebrate our engagement.
Right, exactly.
So chaotic.
Right. So the Drevlians or dragons get really drunk off of this stuff because they've gathered it. It's their stuff, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But Olgunnar soldiers are just like...
They said, we're not really drinking it.
We're not really drinking.
Oh, so we can overpower you so much easier.
Right. So...
Smart.
When all the others are intoxicated, she has them all killed.
Yeah.
Possibly 5,000 people were murdered.
Holy crap. Whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was even 5,000 people in the 1800s.
In the 800s.
800s, that's what I meant.
You're right. Like 5,000 people even lived?
Yeah. There was even 5,000 people to kill?
Yes.
The 800s?
Yes. So she kills them all, and I guess she kills the prince as well.
Yeah, naturally, because she doesn't actually want to marry
No,
him.
she's like, I don't care about you. I'm not going to marry you. In fact, she never marries again. Like, she does not want to marry anyone else. She's enjoying ruling.
What chokehold did Eeyore have over her? Like,
because he seemed like a pretty
he seems like an annoying guy.
Yeah, he was, because it said he was pretty arrogant.
Maybe, I mean, Olga does not seem like a nice lady though.
No, that's true. Maybe they were arrogant together.
Maybe.
Well, okay, so then she goes to war with the rest of the tribes, the Drevlians. Yeah. And their capital at the time was called Coriston. Coriston? No, it's an E. Coriston? I don't know.
Coriston.
After they finally, so she because there's different tribes of the Drevlians. So she subdues some of them, and some of them agree to pay tribute. But the people in the capital of Coriston
are get out of here.
Right. She holds a siege on the city, and they last a year. They're like, no, we don't want to pay tribute.
Wow,
so finally she sends them a message, and she's like, listen, all the other people are agreeing to pay tribute. Just pay tribute. And they're like, well, we're scared that you're gonna keep avenging your husband.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I'm done. Okay.
I killed your prince. I'm good.
I killed your prince. I killed 5,000 men. I killed the ambassadors. I'm good. Yeah. And they're like, okay, fine. And she's like, you know what? I'm just going to ask this small request that you send me 3 pigeons and 3 sparrows from each home. which I don't know if people kept birds.
You had 3 pigeons and 3 sparrows in every home?
Apparently.
What is happening?
What? I don't understand. What? That's what she said. That's what she requested. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't understand the mindset.
Is she going to have like a feast? Is she going to keep them alive? What?
So I'll tell you what she did with them.
Okay.
She gets the birds from the people and they're like, "Whoa, this is such a small request. We can do this. This is cool. And then we're just going to pay tribute. She's going to be done killing us, blah, blah, blah." So she takes the birds and she's like, "Here you go, men." So they fasten a piece of cloth and sulfur to the feet of the birds. And that night they light them on fire and release them. And so the birds fly back to their nests in the city. And the whole city, being made of wood at the time, burns down. Completely just burns down. Yeah.
Maniacal.
Very maniacal.
Also kind of iconic, though.
Yeah. Sends the birds back.
Kill the dragons with fire. Yeah.
Yeah. Fight fire with fire, one might say.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, to wrap things up with Olga, the funny thing about Olga is that this was her like early role, right?
Yeah.
She's actually considered a saint in the Roman Catholic Church.
Whoa. This took such a far turn.
Exactly.
Whoa. Wait. What?
Because like this is not what she's like most known for in their eyes. Okay. She, in the Roman Catholic Church and Eastern Orthodox Church, which is like in Russia, Ukraine and all that, she converted to Christianity between 948 to 955.
When did she light the birds?
I think it was like around like 920, like because when 945. So like
is when she did it.
That's when her husband did it. So like when her husband went to war with them. So I'm assuming it was like, I don't know what time, maybe like 46, 47. So like right after, I guess, she does all this stuff. She goes. Okay.
And then she becomes a Christian when?
Yes. 948 to 955. So it's like
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. Like,
this is such a quick change of heart. Yes. I'm sorry.
She's like, all right, I'm done with killing.
She said, I've mourned. Okay, bye. I'm going to Christian now.
But here's the thing. So
no more killing.
She goes to Constantinople.
Okay.
Which they've been trying, I think, politically to like work it out with Constantinople. I don't really know what's going on there. That wasn't the topic, so I don't know.
You're good. You're good.
But they were Christian at the time, so that's why when she went there, she converted to Christianity. The emperor there at the time, I guess emperor, prince,
the ruler, king, the guy in charge,
Constantine, but it wasn't Constantine the first. Shoot, I forgot to write down. It's like the 7th or something. I don't know.
Oh my gosh,
he's one of the Constantines. But when she goes there, he actually like wants to kind of marry her, Constantine, naturally, and she doesn't really like the idea because she kind of likes being the lone wolf. Yeah, she's like, I'm ruling now.
I can do whatever I want to do.
She's kind of like, I'm kind of good at this.
Yeah. She's like, I'm kind of killing it.
Yeah.
And
literally.
And people. So
Right. So in order to avoid this, she's like, convert to Christianity. Instead of marrying him, I'll convert to his religion. And it seemed genuine though. At the same time, like they were like, she's very like, committed to the religion.
Yeah, but wouldn't that make him want to marry her more?
Exactly. But her plan, Olga, she...
homegirl got it. She's got it.
I don't really get this logic, but it must have been at the time, the logic.
Okay.
She gets baptized and she renames herself Helena after... Not Felina. Helena. Yeah. After Constantine's mother's name. So she takes his mother's name.
Oh,
then, as he witnesses her being baptized, he becomes her godfather. So... And then he's like, hey, Helena, I really would like you to consider marriage between us. And she's like, bro.
You're my godfather.
Yeah, it would be incestuous now because now you're my godfather.
Period. No, I track that logic. Logic.
Okay.
Yes,
because like, technically they're not related, but it's her godfather.
It's your godfather.
So,
period.
And the reason why, so she converts to Christianity and then she actually does bring the religion back to her people. And although they're kind of like, we don't want this religion, like even her son wasn't interested in it. But then later on, it really took root because of her, because she established churches and she brought it back. So she's considered a saint because in her later years, she was the one who brought Christianity to that area.
Okay.
Which I think is so funny.
That's so bizarre. But it was all so that she wouldn't have to marry a man.
Yep. Isn't that awesome?
That's crazy.
She's like, I don't want to marry him.
The things you do.
Right. And then she did end up like peacefully giving over like the rule to her son though. Like
nice. Was he cool? Was he groovy? Was he
I don't really know a lot about him except that he didn't like Christianity. Okay. Which I mean, like they had their own religion probably at the time. So it's probably like I think he was okay. I don't really know what happened.
He was unmentionable.
Right. He was unmentionable.
We'll say that much.
I was more interested in what was happening with Olga. So that's Olga of Kiev. She was pretty intense, but kind of cool in ways.
Yeah. Iconic. I mean, I cannot get over the trees.
The fact that she killed, then that's what the dragons did. She like killed over like, I don't know, 5,000 to 6,000 people because of her husband's death.
And they were probably
more because she burned that whole city.
Yeah, she burned the whole city down.
So
she said, burn it to the ground.
Probably killed like 10,000 people or something.
That's crazy.
Now let's jump ahead. From the 900s to 1518.
From the 800s.
From the 800s to 900s.
800s to 1500s.
To 1500s, okay? So we're in 1518. But still, that's old.
That is quite, yeah.
So this is called the Dancing Plague of 1518. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Beautiful. No. Did it make people dance? Iconic.
I know. Yeah. I was like, what? So it happened in 1518, obviously, in Strasbourg, which I thought was in Germany, but it's in France at this time.
Oh.
I don't know. It must have been different.
It's in Germany now, but it was
French or there's another city. You know how we all have like the same name cities. But anyway, so it's in France. And it's actually documented heavily like in their contemporary, like not our writings, but like in their writings of the time and their historical writings. This like actually happened because they were writing about it.
Interesting.
But like there's lots of like what actually happened around it. You know what I mean?
Right. There's always the cover up.
Right. So obviously before something like this happens, they're always like, well, there were signs, there were omens, there was, a shooting star, there was famine, there was all these things happening.
A shooting star makes you dance?
Well, in that time, that's like an omen, you know what I mean? Like you see a star move.
It is the 1500s.
Right. So this lady called Frau Trophia. Frau, like I think that's like Miss
Trophia.
Miss Trophia. Isn't that Frau like Frau? Isn't that like it's not a name, it's like the title, like not
Probably.
The title. What do you call that?
You would know more than I would.
Well, okay, yeah, true. But anyways, all of a sudden, she started it all. She went out on the streets and just started dancing. Okay? Just dancing. Like everyone was like,
she said, I gotta dance in my heart.
Not to music, nothing. She just started dancing,
she said,
twirling.
Let's boogie on down.
Right. And everyone was just like, what the heck? And just started watching her. And they were like, I don't know. They thought maybe she did something evil and the devil's like in control of her now.
Yes. She is possessed.
She is possessed. But
how dare you dance to no music at all? You must be possessed.
Right. So now remember, this started in, well, I didn't tell you this, so don't remember. But it started in July. Okay. And in August, apparently, after they were watching her dance for like a week, I don't remember. She was like dance for a week, and then she would like fall down like that day, and then but she would start the next day, even when her feet were like bloody.
So she would like dance until she was literally exhausted.
Literally fell, and then she would.
Oh no!
And then the next day, and they were like her feet were like bruised, bloodied. She kept dancing.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Why?
Exactly. We're gonna talk about.
You're gonna tell me. We're gonna like. Oh my gosh.
Well, we don't know, but we're gonna talk about possibilities. The aliens went down. No, but like okay, so. This started in July when she was dancing. I think she danced for like a week, and then they took her outside the city to a shrine because I think they were like, "You need to ask
chill
for forgiveness,
bro.
whatever." But
you're freaking people out,
right? You're scaring people. But the people who had been watching her were like, "We're gonna join." So by August, 400 people had gathered in the streets and were dancing,
just vibing, dancing.
And then they just having like a music festival.
Yeah, like did they just like pass out in the streets and then wake up and get up and go?
And we're gonna talk about more what happened to them.
Okay.
And this dancing mania lasted until September, so it's like a 2-month.
2 months of just dancing 24 hours. A day. 7 days a week.
Yes.
What the world?
I wonder if they stopped on Sundays. Like it seems like they'd be like religious.
Did they sleep all the way through Sunday?
Yeah, maybe they were like fell over.
That's when they slept.
Right. But the fun wasn't to last.
Okay. This doesn't sound fun to me.
Yeah, because the dancers began to fall over from, first of all, being tired. Some had heart attacks. Some had heart attacks and some had strokes. I was thinking of strokes and heart stroke.
Yes.
So they began to fall over, die. It was thought that possibly 100 people died during this. And just think, there were like 400 dancing. So like a fourth of them
100 people died.
Died.
Yeah, so like 1/4
from dancing.
from just nonstop dancing.
How did your sister die? Well,
She would not. One day she started dancing, and then she just never stopped.
and then we never saw her again.
And we never saw her again.
She danced right away.
And then she died.
But apparently, the crazy thing to me is apparently this is not the only instance in history where this has happened, okay? Other parts of Europe have experienced dancing plagues.
What?
And they were later coined choreomania. So like choreography and mania. Choreomania.
I see it, yeah.
Now, one of the reasons why they think this maybe happened is that there was a Catholic saint called Saint Vitus, Vitus, you know.
Sure.
He was thought to have the ability to inflict people he thought had sinned with a dancing plague or like uncontrollable dancing.
So can saints, but like saints can like punish?
If you're being bad. Yeah, I guess so.
What?
In the 1500s, saints can punish.
Okay. All right.
Apparently. So that's why some of the people that were like experiencing this dancing were taken to the shrine that she was saying to. It was Saint Vitus's shrine.
My question.
Go ahead.
She's taken to the shrine to repent.
Yes.
Does she repent?
I think she repents, but I don't remember if she stops dancing or if they just keep her there.
Okay, cool.
I think she stopped.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know. But I'm assuming, like, I mean, if they took her back to town, maybe she just joined the people again. I don't know.
She was just like, what's up, homies?
Now you started it all. Like,
now I got all of you.
I don't know what happened to Tropia,
Okay.
but they took her to a shrine. I don't know if she had to stay there until she stopped. I don't know. Other people thought maybe these people are just part of a cult.
Yes.
A religious cult that just...
A good cult that just said, you know what it is? You know what it is? It was a flash mob, and they couldn't find the person that they were supposed to be dancing for. Doing it. So they just had to keep dancing until they found the right person. It was
Saint Vitus, and he never showed up or something. Like,
yeah. That's what it was.
Right. And obviously people thought it could be demonic possession.
Yes.
As we talked about, punishment from God. You know, some divine...
Or a saint.
Which apparently.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, I didn't either. Today, they think that this maybe was a mass hysteria / psychosis as a result of stress because they were going through famines. It was extreme poverty.
Oh, yeah.
And so the stress of the bad times.
Broke. They literally just broke.
They broke. And apparently, this guy also called it, they also lived in like an environment of belief because the areas that this happened to were the areas that believed in St. Vitus. So like if you think a guy can like inflict a dancing plague on you.
Yeah.
That's more common to like happen if you believe that.
And then you see someone dancing randomly in the street, you're like,
oh my God, now it's happening to me.
Yeah.
You know, like, so.
The power of suggestion.
Yeah, exactly. Is exactly what's like, oh, the power of suggestion. And they believe in this saint, so that's probably what, you know, why they did what they did. Another proposal we've talked about before, ergot. Do you remember that with the Salem witch trials? The mold that was found in rye. It causes spasms, hallucinations, and like effects like LSD.
Oh, yeah.
That has been proposed.
So they were just high.
Yeah. They were just high and sick, like with the, you know, whatever it is that it causes. But they also think this is kind of a bad proposal because ergot causes like a lowering of the blood supply.
So they wouldn't have the energy.
Yeah, you couldn't keep dancing. So they're like, that's probably not a good proposal, but it does cause like the spasms and the, you know, like we talked about before.
Maybe they saw someone spasming and then they were like,
she's dancing.
She's dancing. Oh no,
let's dance.
Saint. Oh no, we have a plague. Oh crap, I feel it.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe this is why we've been having famine. Maybe they were compelled to dance because they thought we're going through all this hard time. We're going through all this
famine because we need to dance.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't.
You gotta
the 1500s.
Cut loose, foot loose, kick out your Sunday shoes. That's what they said. They said, we'll dance.
It's time to dance. Right. But another thing is people believed at the time, I'm sure you've heard of this, about that it was the result of hot blood in the brain. So
what?
They thought that people would dance and try to like dance the fever away because your blood would become hot. I don't understand it, but one man named Paracelsus, who was a physician and who was actually in the city 8 years after the event. So like he kind of, I guess, got like firsthand information from it.
Yeah.
He called it that it could be possibly someone's laughing veins, whatever that is. It creates a ticklish feeling in your veins from your toes to your head. And then you dance until you can get it to return to normal, I guess. Because it's like tickling or something. I don't know. They thought weird things about things in the blood at that time. That's why they would like bleed you, because they thought the bad blood was in you, you know, and like get it out. Now that is just from memory.
I'm just looking at her horrified. Yeah, I realize you can't see me and I've been so silent. It's just like a horrified expression. She just keeps talking and I'm like, what?
They just thought the blood was bad and then it would get to your head, I guess, and just...
You said hot blood, and I said, is not all of our blood hot? Because we really are 98 degrees.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that's what they call it, hot blood. Or like, he called it, I guess, the laughing veins.
What? Is that the vein that like pops out of your forehead whenever you can't stop laughing?
Right, yeah. It's like, that's your laughing vein. Well, you got to dance to get it away.
You got to dance to get it to go away?
Right.
Now you know. The more you know.
Yeah. You dance until the blood returns to normal, Felina.
Oh, until you stop feeling a ticklish feeling. Mm-hmm. So I will say, you out there who are struggling, just have you tried dancing?
Have you tried? Just that's us from now on. It's not like have you tried praying? It's like
have you drink some water? I have a headache. Did you drink some water?
Yeah.
No, I have a headache.
I'm feeling a little feverish. Have you tried dancing? Maybe
I have a viral infection. Have you danced?
Have you tried dancing? I've heard it's all the rage.
Yeah. I've got the flu. Are you doing your daily dances?
Right. I'm not dancing. What do you think that Vitus is doing to you?
Yeah.
So their idea of getting them to stop, because obviously the people in charge, whoever they were at the time, the heads of state or whatever.
Right.
They first try something to get them to stop. They're like, let's provide them music.
Oh yeah, maybe if they don't like the
reverse
music,
psychology.
Stop. Yeah.
Well, no, they were like, we'll get the music. We'll have people hold them up. We'll pay people to hold them up so they can keep dancing. We'll pay people to go dance with them and wear them out. Their idea was if we encourage the dancing and they keep dancing really, really a lot, then they're going to get tired and they'll stop. So they're like, we'll tire them out. That didn't work. They just kept dancing. Obviously, they have music now. Like, what the heck?
Yeah. They're like, oh, yeah. Now we can all be going the same tempo. That's
right.
Great.
Perfect.
We can sync up.
Yeah. It's like, perfect. This is actually a good thing. So then they're like, well, shoot. Okay, that didn't work. The reverse psychology didn't work. Because it's almost like, oh, we'll encourage it. And it,
Yeah, thinking it's
like die out.
Like a rebellious something or other.
Yeah. Right. So when that didn't work, they're like, okay, this must be like a punishment from God. So these people are sinners. Yeah. That's like what they were saying. Like, so they forbid public music and public dancing.
Oh.
And they made the people seek forgiveness by once again sending them to the shrine.
Okay.
And the weird thing is they provided them with red shoes. They put red shoes on them. I don't know why.
Probably because they're bleeding.
Probably. So they're
it's easier to hide the blood with
so you're going to wear red shoes to remind you or whatever that you were dancing. Yeah. And then they would gave them a carving of a cross. And I think I read one where they followed a saint statue or carving. I don't know if what following it means. I don't know if they led them through the mountaintops because the shrine was in the mountains. So they took them
probably
away.
led them with the cross.
Probably
you will repent.
You must follow this. You must walk in these red shoes. That sort of thing.
How did they get the shoes on them?
I don't know.
They're dancing.
I think they might have just given them to them. I just said that they put them on them.
Or maybe they waited till they passed out and they were like, they're just red shoes.
Yep, you get shoes on.
Yeah.
Well, because they must not. At the time, I don't know how many people went barefoot in the 1500s. Probably a lot of the poor people didn't have shoes, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably why their feet were so bad from dancing and stuff. I don't know.
Think of the amount of rocks they stepped on. Ooh.
I remember when I was younger and I would go outside and I would run across the rocks. And now I'm like, how did I do that?
Yeah.
My feet are,
my feet calluses built up. That's how.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I don't walk barefoot. So except in my house. I hate wearing socks in my house.
Was the weather nice or was it burning hot?
It was July. It was hot.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Owie.
I mean, it was July through September in France.
So there was probably blisters too.
Yeah.
Ew. Oof.
Ooh. And probably poop in the streets too, because you know how they didn't have
Yeah, because it's the 1500s.
Yeah.
Gross.
So yeah, I guess eventually it just died out. I don't really have how it ended. It just they stopped.
They just
whatever happened. So
random.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
But yeah, so moving on.
It was a social experiment, really, is what it was.
Right. But the thing is, that's not the only one.
Yeah.
That has happened.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
And I'm just like, is this our music festivals of these days?
A witch hexed them. And
Right. People will be looking back at our music festivals that last days and they're like, they were out in the wilderness listening to music for days and they passed out and they were drinking and they were, that sort of thing. But anyway, let's move on to the 40 elephants.
Okay.
Shall we?
Lame name for what sounds like a really cool topic.
Well, okay. All right. There's a reason why they were called that.
Okay.
So the history and who they are. Let's talk about it.
Yes.
Okay. In London, this is after, I think, World War I. So the neighborhoods were in destitution. Obviously, the poverty. There were obviously very rich areas. But this area we're in is called the Elephant and Castle. area of Southwark, if that's how you say it, England.
I don't know.
Like the district, Southwark, neighborhood, Elephant and Castle, or something like that. Mm-hmm. I don't know how the districts work in London at this time. But
I don't either.
So they're very poor. There's like, people can't pay rent. They're like moving a lot because people get kicked out, all that. Yeah. All that stuff. So a gang made up of only women called the 40 Elephants, which Felina thinks is lame.
It's just, they could have been so much more creative.
Everyone's not so creative. No, they could have the two trees.
No, the two trees.
The two trees gang.
Iconic.
Yeah.
And then you go to 40 Elephants.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just things are getting more and more disappointing. The more in history we move up, the more disappointing it just gets. Because this is in the end of the 1800s into the 1900s. Okay, so I did progress in years on accident.
You did. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. And we have all sorts of places. We have Ukraine, Russia, and now we were in France, and now we're in England.
Wow.
Yeah, we went all over the world.
All of Europe.
Yes. So in the 1900s, it's the same thing as we've always talked about. Women faced, you could be in poverty, or you could turn to prostitution.
Of course.
That's like the only
two options is you can literally die from a disease that you get because you're living in squalor, or you could go be a prostitute and die from AIDS.
Exactly. It's like you can die of starving or
you can die from AIDS.
Yeah. No. It's sad that that's the only...
Those are the only two options.
Those are the only two options for women. So they said, why not steal?
Period. Yes, ma'am.
Right? So
you be a petty thief.
Exactly. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying stealing's right, but like at that time,
if your only two options are starve or prostitute, you go steal, babe.
Yeah, that's like the lesser of the evils, it seems like.
Yes.
Now, it's possible that they started earlier in the 1800s. We're not really sure. Like this gang went on for a while, but they were like most active in the 1880s. And it lasted until like the 1950s, but like their height was like in the 1920s, which we'll talk about. Flapper era, the wild,
the crazy Great Gatsby era.
Right. So they were originally known as the 40 Thieves. So at least
iconic.
You like that more?
I like the 40 Thieves.
Okay. But you don't like the elephants. I thought you liked elephants.
I love elephants, but it's just not an iconic.
It's just not.
You can't tell what it is.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of like the idea. It's like covert. Have you heard of the 40 Elephants?
Have you heard of the 40 Elephants? No, are they in Africa?
No, they're in London.
There's 40 elephants in London?
There's 40 of them. And I don't even know there's 40 of them. I don't know why they're called that. I didn't really get that explanation.
Yeah, see, like, there's too many questions that go along with
I should have looked that up. I'm assuming there were like 40 in the original group or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or they always kept 40. I don't know.
There could only be 40?
Right. There could only be 40 at a time.
It's like the 40 Elephants has a spot opening up. Audition.
Right. So the original leader-ish, I guess, of the group was called Mary Carr. And at this time, this is when it was like called the 40 Thieves. It wasn't like as well organized. It was kind of just like all over the place. She was really good at...
Get your crap together,
get your crap together. Like she didn't really have like a very set idea of like what the gang was supposed to look like. She said,
listen, I'm just trying to steal stuff.
Just trying to steal. But she was really good at like immediately when they got the goods, she would sell them like really fast. So that way you can't like find them.
Yeah, you can't blame it on her. And
if they're sold, they're gone. Yeah. And so she has the money. So she was really good at that. However, when they really took off was in 1916 when a woman named Alice Diamond, or Diamond Annie is what she went by.
Ooh,
Diamond Annie.
Yes, girl. Yes.
Yes. So she took over at 20. She was only 20 years old, which I guess, I mean, is a little older at the time, but like pretty young. But she actually did wear like blingy rings on her hands, like diamonds.
Well, with such an iconic name.
Right. She would punch with them.
Yes, queen. Yes.
So even
that's my girl. Right.
Even the police, she would punch.
Oh. Police brutality, I see. Maybe not the best choice.
Well, they're getting away. They're running from the police. So, like...
Still.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying, like, she would even do it to the police. Like, she did not care.
Wow.
So, she was, like, the most notorious or well-known of the group because she
said, I am who I am.
Right. She really brought in, like, okay, this is how we operate. This is what we do. And I'll talk about it a little bit. She enforced this code. So she was very strict.
She's an organized
They
girly.
had rules. They had rules.
And you will abide by them.
Right.
Or you will get kicked out and we'll replace you.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So, like, she ruled, obviously, like you said, 1916. So, like, 1910s ruled. I mean, she's not a queen, but you know what I mean.
I mean, with
Queen.
With Diamond Annie.
Right. She's a queen.
Iconic.
Yeah. So, through the 1920s, middle 1920s, like 25 or something like that. And this was their most, like, successful run because she was organized.
She said, you will do this.
Organization does a world of wonders. Yeah, exactly. You'll do this.
Organization, just a little bit of organization really can take you far.
You really can take you great places.
You can get diamond rings and you can punch cops.
So the reason why she took over was apparently because Mary Carr was in jail because she was like in and out of jail. But like because it was a smaller operation at the time, she didn't get put away for as long. They would kind of be like, oh, you were stealing. Right. Release them. It wasn't as much of a big operation as it was under Annie. Annie was like, this is like my ring.
Annie said that we're taking off.
So this is when, I'm sorry, I know you think she's a queen, but under her, they became known as the 40 Elephant Gang.
Dang it, Annie.
Elephants Gang. So
you were going so strong. And then you just had to change the name.
Right. Well, it also could be because this was like, I think when Mary Carr was in charge, they worked with this other mob called, I think it was like the Castle and Elephant Mob. It wasn't very creative, but it was like a group of men. And so like they would kind of like help each other. But I don't think they did that later on because then Annie like enforced it being only women, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Well, it was only women in the gang, but like I think she didn't want to work with them.
They didn't work with the other elephants. So she said, why not make herself
We're not working with the other elephants. Right. Maybe that's why she did it. Maybe it was like in spite. That way.
Maybe.
Did you just want the ice is from the drink?
My ice.
Did you like that?
Sorry.
No, it's totally fine. You all know we're drinking coffee.
Yes.
So they were known especially for robbing department stores. Oh. That was their biggest thing.
Not even like groceries and like, why can't it be like a Robin Hood situation?
No.
Like what?
No, they were stealing like furs and jewelry and stuff to sell. To sell. Oh. Yeah, they're not just stealing food. They're getting. Because they couldn't live.
Diamond ring.
Right.
Yes, they're creating a fortune for themselves.
They were like, not only are we poor, but why not be rich? I guess. Like, why not
be rich and live
the lifestyle? Exactly. They're like, why not? So what they would do is she had this tactic, which is pretty cool. They had, first of all, the clothes of the time. Perfect for women for stealing because they had like the big skirts.
Pockets.
Yes, and they sewed pockets underneath the skirts, like to their like, you know, to the underskirt or whatever. Yeah. And they also had this thing called a false arm, which was they would have their regular arm like in their cape or in their muff, and they had a fake arm connected to the outside. So the fake arm looked like it was like just looking on things on the outside, but they would be stealing things with their hands, like their real hand underneath.
That is so.
And I have a picture of it.
I love that.
Look.
I'm obsessed with that.
Isn't that cool?
That's actually beautiful.
That's actually so smart.
That put women in charge.
Right?
What have I been saying?
What have I been saying? So Annie was like making sure that they had all their like clothes equipped, like things to like actually do this. And they did it with such stealth. Like, because they weren't suspected either at first.
Right,
like,
they're
who's
women.
Gonna think that,
yeah, they think they're stupid and they're dumb and they're not gonna do, like, they're women.
Right, and also modesty issues at the time. Like if women were shopping for clothes, they would leave you alone because they'd be like, she could compromise her modesty if she's like getting an undergarment or something. Yes. You know, it was like very like, so they would just leave them alone. So at first they were like stealth. They could, I think I read somewhere, I didn't write this down, but like a group, which I don't know how much of it is, a group of the gang could like clear out a store in like an hour. Like they would just get everything. They were that good. Oh like I mean, gosh. I'm sure not like everything.
Well,
you know,
you can't get everything because you don't want them to like run after.
Why is my store empty all of a sudden? Yeah. But like they were very good at that. They also had this other tactic called the crush tactic, and what they would do is like they would have a group of them and they'd all be like, oh my gosh, and they would like run up to the jewelry counter and they'd all be like giddily like, look at
and then like rush them and then be like, oh my gosh.
And so and then they would be like, look at the jewelry and then like pass it around among them, and it would confuse the shop owner
because they're looking at all these different pieces of jewelry and they're like, what the heck?
And then by that time someone had run off with it. Or I read too, I mean, I read this in one spot, but like sometimes they would take like a piece of gum and stick the jewelry under the counter and someone would come back and get it later. While that was happening, so they'd like put it under there.
Yeah, so they'd be like, put it under, and then like someone would be like,
they'd walk out because then like it's not immediately missing. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's missing from the case, but you know, they come back and get it, so it's like you don't know who got it really.
Yeah.
But
Because you're going to assume someone from the group got it, so they're going to be looking for someone from the group, but then someone else is like coming.
The woman comes and gets it. Yeah. Pretty interesting. Nice. They had some really smart, honestly.
Pretty innovative.
Yeah, they had some pretty, honestly, some like, that's really smart. Like, that's a good idea. They would also like, now they did start to get well known, obviously. Yeah. Because like, there's this group of women, they come in. So they also moved on to disguising as maids and going into rich people's houses. So they also did that. Like department stores were like their main thing, but like when department stores started getting a little more difficult because they would be looking for women, they would also, because they were looking for a group of women, they would go in disguised as a couple. So one of them would be like dressed as a man and one would be as a woman, and they'd go in as like a rich couple.
Yeah.
And then
they would like leave them alone.
Yeah, because they didn't think anything of it because it wasn't a group of women. It was just like a couple. So they would like literally like put mustaches on or whatever and like dress as a man.
That's beautiful.
Also iconic. So they also used cars in their escapes, which obviously that sounds like okay, whatever, but like at this time
cars weren't that well.
Yeah, they weren't
like they are now.
Yeah. Right, it was like the 1920s. Yeah. So they would get the thing and the police would start chasing them, so they would lead the police in a car chase, but before they had even started the car chase, they handed off the goods to a gang member on foot that hadn't been seen, and then they would go off, and so when the police caught up with them, they didn't have anything in the car.
Yeah, so they couldn't arrest them.
So they couldn't
Period, ladies. That is what I'm talking about.
I know. And apparently like them adopting the use of cars, like they were able to go further out, like in different like locations of the city, you know, like not just like stay in like one area, like they were able to go out.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the hoister code, which was Annie's code. Okay. The hoisters, like you're hoisting something. Okay. I guess like, you know, shoplifting, hoisting, whatever. I don't know.
I don't know.
Whatever it's called. Yeah. It's called the hoisters code. Okay. It was very strict. They couldn't wear what they stole because obviously you don't want it to know that's stolen. You want to
sell it, so, and then you can go buy it.
Right. So they wouldn't wear it. They would dress well, but they would take the thing, sell it, and then buy fashionable clothes with their money. Yes. Not wearing the stolen stuff because then you can track it, I guess, probably at the time.
You mean like that's my fur. Stolen.
That's my fur from Wegmans shop. I don't know, you know.
Wow, you pulled that out. I don't know. That was impressive.
Thank you. Well, because at the time they probably like not every article of clothing was like identical probably because it wasn't like mass produced or whatever.
You only have so many. Right. If you knew you only had one coat left.
So you don't wear that. Yeah.
And you knew you didn't sell it to that lady.
Yeah. Not looking so good.
Yeah.
So they bought with the money they made and they didn't wear it. They were obviously forbidden to work with police officers, which I think would be a given, but I guess like I don't know if you can't like even cooperate with them, or I'm not really sure what that meant. You can't fraternize with cops.
The enemy.
Yeah. They couldn't go out drinking the night before they were like to perform a robbery the next day.
You would think though, sorry.
No,
you
go ahead.
Think though that like having a cop in your pocket would be a good thing.
Yeah, you would think. Yeah.
Anyways,
she didn't want anything with them, I guess, because like to deal with them, because she was also like, you can't have any outsiders. So there were no outsiders allowed, like if they weren't from your neighborhood.
Well, that's true. I guess cops were all men.
Yeah. Well, that too. Yeah. They were all men and stuff like that at the time. I did read somewhere that there was a policewoman and I was like, what? In like 1925. I was like, what?
Whoa.
I know. That was just like
interesting
in passing, which maybe we should do that one time.
Maybe.
But they weren't obviously allowed to drink during work, which I think would be a given. But I guess during that time, I don't know.
One would think.
She also imposed early bedtimes. They had to go to bed early.
Okay, Mom.
Right? She also prohibited members, essentially whatever Annie didn't want you to do, it was prohibited. So she would do even like including suitors. So if the person that you were like interested in, if they didn't fit like her standard, she would be like, you can't marry them. And if they were like outside the neighborhood.
What is she? Right. Okay, Mom. Right. What? Like what?
Yeah, I mean, like it's a gang.
That is strict. Annie girl, listen, you're losing me. You're losing me, Annie girl.
I think she might lose you a little bit more.
Oh gosh.
So someone disobeyed. Marie Britton, one of the gang members. She fell in love with this guy and she got pregnant. And married him.
Sister.
I know, she got pregnant, I think, before they got married.
Sister.
But she, I know, it's scandalous.
I was about to say scandalous.
Were you? Oh my gosh. It was scandalous at the time. Obviously, not judging.
No, yeah, no obviously, judgment.
At the time, that would be considered.
I'm just saying for the time period, it is scandalous.
Yeah. But Diamond, Annie, did not approve of the man. He wasn't from Southwark or whatever, the neighborhood, castle, whatever. She didn't want, they couldn't marry anyone outside the neighborhood because she didn't trust anyone outside of it. Like, she was like,
sounds like she needs to go to therapy.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So she got drunk one night, and I think also she was high.
Oh, no.
I think she might have been high on cocaine.
Annie?
Yes. She got drunk.
Annie,
she was
girl.
high. Well, and at this time in the 1920s, like, they apparently, the gang members were known for, like, throwing huge parties. Like, the 1920s roaring. Yeah. But I think she was at a bar, and she got drunk.
Not so cute.
Drunk and high. And so she was like, you know what? We're going to go, let's go do away with, like, let's go, not do away with, but she was like, let's go beat up the husband of Marie.
It's not even his fault.
Yeah. So she takes the gang members, and this is in 1925 when she does this. They attack the couple, and they beat the husband badly, like, while Marie's watching. I don't think they kill him, as far as I know. But
well, no, because he's got to provide for a baby.
Yeah, I hope not. Yeah, because she's pregnant or whatever. That's awful.
Yeah.
Well, you don't mess with Diamond Annie, apparently.
Listen, Diamond Annie, you need to chill.
You lost us.
You were cool, and then now it seems as though you're going through a mental break.
I seem to do that. I seem to be like, listen to this person, and you're like, yeah, and then they disappoint you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Hannah.
Olga got her violence over with in the beginning.
Pull yourself together.
Right. And then she converted to Christianity. Diamond Annie started out cool, is now trash. But she was put in prison for 18 months because of this, obviously.
Diamond Annie was?
Yes, because of the incident, because she was the ringleader.
And as you should have been.
Yeah, like
you got what you deserved.
Right. Like, she was, like, she didn't necessarily, she wasn't the only one there beating him, but she let it.
She's the reason. They wouldn't have done it if she wouldn't have suggested it.
No. So she was in prison for 18 months after the incident, and someone else took over while she was, as they do. And her name was Lillian Rose Kendall, and she was nicknamed, I cannot speak.
You're doing amazing.
Struggling.
Take a breath.
Her name was Lillian Rose Kendall, and they nicknamed her the bobbed-haired bandit. That's why it's hard to say. Bobbed-haired because she had like the 1920s shortcut. And she took over. I'm almost done here. We're not really going to talk about her, but I just wanted to like talk about like how she kind of introduced a new method, and it was called the smash and grab. And so what they would do is in the middle of the night, they would, instead of going in the day, because like at the time, like it was starting to be so well known that they were like robbing, because they've been going on for like years.
Yeah.
And department stores were becoming more and more like difficult to get into because security and stuff like that was like increased.
Yeah.
Because of the robberies. So they at night, in the middle of the night, would take a car, smash into the window, break open the window, and just like clear out, ransack as much as they could, and then leave. And that way the next morning the shop owners would just come to a destroyed store. So that was her method.
That's so rude.
And so instead of from like the stealth to just the absolute just boom, like we're gonna like. So obviously she took over. I don't know if there was people after her, but eventually it broke up because I think the Second World War.
Yeah.
I think it said even like women began to get real jobs at that point in World War II.
And so they could actually they actually had another option other job than prostitution or poverty or stealing, apparently.
Right. And also another thing is obviously, like I mentioned, the security increased in all department stores.
Yeah.
And then also lastly is like the fashion changed. So it wasn't easy to hide things in the clothes anymore because they weren't bulky. They were like
they were slim.
Yeah. Well, especially during the wars too. Like you would like reduce.
Yeah, you couldn't have a fake arm in the war in the 1920s.
No,
really that easy.
So yeah, so that's the 40 Elephants, and that's how they broke up, and that was like their main leaders. So
I bet they hated that the fashion changed.
Probably because they're like, well, shoot, what do we do now? Like muffs and coats and like things like that. Like who wears a fur muff or whatever anymore? Like who has that for that? Although those are kind of smart. Like if your hands are cold, you can just put them in that. I guess that's what a hoodie is for now.
Yeah,
like the hoodie pocket. It's kind of like a modern muff.
Yeah, I heard somewhere. This is off topic. No, I was watching something. I was watching an interview. Bridgerton.
Oh, yeah.
And the, I can't remember her name. I'm terrible with actors' names, so sorry. But the girl who plays Eloise.
Oh, I don't know.
She broke her wrist or something, and it was like springtime, and so they gave her a springtime muff to hide her cast. And
That's funny.
She was talking about that, and she was like, that didn't exist. Actually, we just made that up because I had a cast.
A springtime muff. So what would be the reason to have it? Like fashion?
No, they didn't exist.
Well, yeah, but like, so what did the excuse in the show did they give?
They didn't give an excuse.
Oh, she just wore it.
She was just holding it. And people were like, what?
Why is she wearing that? It's like literally spring.
And it's because she had broken her. She had
That's
cast
funny.
On. Yeah.
That's funny. You got to do what you got to do.
You do.
Just like the women, the 40 elephants. They just had to do what they had to do.
They had to do what they had to do. Now, some of the stuff they had to do, some of the stuff they said they had to do, they didn't have to do.
No, they didn't have to.
They did not have to beat that lady's husband.
No, they didn't have to punch the police, technically.
No.
With their diamond rings.
Not the diamond rings.
I mean, it is pretty funny that she actually wore. I guess
if you're a gang, though, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's a gang. Like, that's also why, like, they could only do certain things. Because, like, gangs are like that. Like, you can't do what we don't want you to do. You can't just break off and go live your own life if you're part of the gang.
That's true.
Well,
speaking of being a part of a gang, you can be a part of our gang.
Yes.
If you like, follow, whatever, you can follow us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Amazon, and Audible. Or you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Lattes on My Mind.
Yeah.
And we'd love to hear from you. If you like this episode, if you have any other knowledge on any of the topics that we talked about, or if you want to suggest something, you can reach us at lattepodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. And like and subscribe. Did we mention that?
I think
we love our followers.
So. We love our followers.
Yeah. And don't punch police officers.
Don't punch Don't put tie a man to two different trees and then rip them in half.
Rip them apart.
Because that is so iconic. Love it. So creative. It's not socially acceptable anymore, and you will go to jail for murder.
Yeah. But if you want to go dance in the streets for a little while, go for it.
Put on some red slippers and go dance in the streets.
Just don't pass out.
Totally fine. Just like don't do it till your toes are bleeding and you're passing out and dying from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Might I suggest doing it in the rain? That's
Might I suggest a dancing studio?
Yeah. Maybe actually your kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing like
dance
dancing.
around your kitchen.
Dance while you cook.
Good. Yeah.